Hello and welcome to Ivycreates. I live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and there are a lot of things we get from our ocean, from the Gulf of Mexico, and these are oysters, and these are some of the traditions that we carry down here on the coast. We do a lot of oyster craft because they are big shells, and so we're going to be doing oyster Santa Clauses today. And it's a very, very simple, very easy type of craft you can do. And you could do it with your kids or by yourself or what have you. But these are for oyster shell Santas, and they make ornaments. We also make oyster shell Christmas trees and many other things, magnolias, many things with these. And it depends on the type of shell that you pick up. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be a certain type of shell, the way they're shaped and that kind of thing. So on these, I want to do, I'd already painted them with clear coats so they'd be easy and they wouldn't soak up the paint, because otherwise I would do multiple coats, and it's just easier to go ahead and spray it with a clear coat and then paint it. So I'm taking my oyster shells and I'm painting the bottom 2/3 about roughly in white, and that is to create the face and the beard for the Santa. And then I go back, and at the top of that white area I want to do a small circle, and what I'm doing is mixing a tiny bit of pink with a tiny bit of white and an even tinier bit of brown. I mean, itty bitty bit, and that makes a flesh tone. And I'm kind of mixing it on my brush. You could do it on a palette, you could do it any way you want to, but that gives the little flesh tone. For those of you who can't mix paint, I'm sure you can find a flesh tone in Americana. That's what I usually use, Americana paints. So finding a flesh tone is not a hard thing to do. Mixing it, it is a little bit more difficult, but I have come down to like a soft pink and white, and then just a tiny touch of brown makes a good flesh tone. So, and it's not too orange. That's another thing. I find many of the flesh tones to be orange. So you can see I'm just kind of making a circle close to the top of the white where I painted it white. And that is for our Santa Claus face. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is drying them off a little bit. I'm using a heat gun. You can use a blow dryer. You can use many different things just to kind of dry up the paint quicker, or you can wait and sit between. So you can kind of see what I've done so far with our little oyster shell. So the next thing we're going to do, and I have my little paint pots that I keep on hand. I buy those paint pots. I mix my own paints in them. Most of them are Americana, except for my gold metallic, which is Folk Art Royal Gold. I do like my Royal Gold, and I usually mix the Royal Gold in with the red. You can see the gold and red are right next to each other, and in with the black that's on the end, because that's most of the time I use those colors for a lot of different things. So now I'm going to begin to paint the hats, and the hat is just, super simple. It's the top of the oyster is already shaped that way, so no worries. And the bottom of the oyster is already shaped like a beard. So if you don't have oysters, you can always use whatever you got, and I'm a big proponent of use whatever you got. You may have a really pretty maple leaf that you could use as a Santa face. You might have different things that you could make into Santas or snow people. I just happen to have oysters, and I do a lot of beach walking to go find and hunt down materials for different things. I pick up driftwood. I pick up shells of all kinds and shapes. I've gotten copper off the beach. Just anything and everything. A lot of times people will throw things away and they end up coming up on the beach and they look really cool. So I like to do a lot of beach and coast related hobbies as far as putting things together and making stuff out of them, because it doesn't cost you anything, just the paint. This is a zero cost ornament and a great little gift as well for, say, like teachers or what have you. It's a good little gift to give. And if you go on vacation, it's also a good memory to make, is to pull out some of those shells that you don't know what you're going to do with, that you picked up on your vacation, and make something else out of them. So I'm going to be sharing a few of our coast traditions as far as Christmas goes this year. I think that you guys would probably love to see them, so we're going to be doing that. So now I painted 2 of my Santas with red hats, and I'm going to paint 2 of my Santas with gold hats. You can do whatever hat color you want to. You don't have to have a red-hatted Santa. I've actually done them before in pinks and blues, and they came out really cute. You know, when they're all uniform and together, they're really, really cute. So I'm just showing you different options that you can do. Santa doesn't always have to wear a red hat. You can put him in gold or whatever color you choose to put him in. And especially if, like, let's say you're a football fan or something and you want to choose to put his hat in whatever color your team is, you can do that as well. So I'm just going to dry these hats off a little bit, and that's my folk art royal gold and my red Americana that I have a little bit of gold mixed in. So the next thing I'm going to do is go back with my white, and I just want to add a little bit more white. Now I'm doing this as another coat for the beard, because I really like them super white. I like it to stand out. And like I've said before, some people get wrapped up in oyster shells being their version of perfection. If you're going to paint them, you really don't want perfect. You want them to be shaped well, and you want it to look like a flowy beard at the bottom. But you don't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to our Santa's faces on their beards to make it a little brighter white. I hope you enjoyed this today. If you do, please like and subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on our future videos. Also, leave us comments. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me your ideas. What do you do locally for your local crafts? You know, growing up, I always thought that everybody did their crafts, you know, the same way we did. And now I've realized, since I've been doing a lot of them, to share with people, that I guess I was raised in a really different type household, because I know crafts that people had no idea you could do. And I'm like, okay, I guess we were A, really poor, and B, really creative. So now I'm adding a little tuft of white for the end of the hat and for the rim of the hat. And this is just a basis for what's to come later. We're going to be doing a couple of different kinds of faces on our Santa Clauses, and I'm going to show you those in a second. We're going to do 2 of them with like the googly eyes, and 2 of them are just going to be painted, and it's super, super easy to paint the face. So if you paint the nose, which is usually what you want to paint first, you just paint a little oval nose, and you can see I'm doing that right there. It's a little oval nose. You don't even have to make a solid one like I did. You could make a line if you wanted to, just a little half circle line. I happen to like making a little oval that's colored in, and then below the nose I do a little semicircle like a U for the mouth. And you'll see why later on how we actually do that. So do a little oval for the nose and a little U for the mouth. And it's super simple. I have many videos. I love to do Santa Clauses, and I love to do snowmen. I have Santa Claus gift boxes that I've already done, all Dollar Tree, very inexpensive, doesn't cost you much at all. I did these really adorable decorative gift boxes from Dollar Tree items and made those into Santa Clauses, which you could easily make those into gnomes as well. It wouldn't be hard at all to make them into gnomes. I used cans that I got, little containers that I got from Dollar Tree, and I used Pringle cans, and that was another craft we used to do when I was growing up, is making things out of Pringles cans. We did that a lot, and also out of oatmeal boxes and oatmeal canisters. So now you can see I've got the nose and the mouth on all my little Santa Clauses, my Oyster Santas. And I'm kind of checking to see if I might be wanting to do anything else. So now I'm going to start on the eyes, which is the personality, a lot of the personality of the Santa Clauses. And right there I'm using I pulled out a chalk marker, and I think I ended up not using that one. Let's see. Yeah, I have a bazillion markers and bazillion pens and all that good stuff because I do a lot of multimedia, and sometimes you need to have different types of pens and markers. The pen that is laying down is actually a Sharpie pen. It's a Sharpie gel pen, and I really do like it. And I'm just doing a basic of trying to figure out where I want these things to go. So for this type of eye, I'm going to do a upside down U. Just think about it like that. It's an upside down U. And at the bottom of it, we're going to pull it straight across or slightly a little bit more with a semicircle, kind of like, you know, the upside down U, but not as much. So that's going to be our eyes, and we're going to put one on either side of that nose and try to make them as even as possible. And that's why it's always important to do the nose before you do anything else on the face. That way you will have your proportions right. It'll be so much easier. So again, you can see I just put the little eyes with the upside down U, and I filled in the bottom portion to make like the pupil. It's a very simple doodling that, you know I used to do in school, in high school and everything, or junior high. Everybody made cute little faces on their papers and stuff. Well, I know I did. And that was one of the faces. And it makes it look like it has high cheeks. And it's really cute. And you can also add glasses if you want to later on. Because Santa Claus usually has glasses, not necessarily. You do what you want with your Santa. So I'm just kind of drying it off a little bit to make sure that the ink is settled. And you'll see that later on. It takes a really long time for the ink, if you're using a pen, for it to dry. I love my Faber-Castell brush pens. Those are probably my favorite. And then next to that, well, you know, Sharpie is above all things. The only thing about Sharpie is I do find sometimes the paint, it bleeds with paint. So do be careful when using Sharpie. I use them for a lot of things because I do love my Sharpies. But do be careful if you're using paint with it, especially clear coat tends to make Sharpie bleed. Good to know also, if you got a Sharpie stain and you put some clear coat on it, it will come off. So now I am gently gluing on googly eyes for my other two Santas. And the thing about that is to make sure your glue gun is not too hot and you don't press down really hard when you're putting the eyes on the Santa, so that the black part stays loose and googly, because you don't want it to be stuck in one position. And they look pretty darn cute, just like that. So now you can see I'm going back and again trying to dry that ink, because it still wasn't dry at that point. So I'm going to take some of this light pink and use that as like right below the eyes to make a little cheekbone type thing. And I did that because the ink on this smeared on this particular Santa, so I was just making some rosy cheeks to cover it up. I hope y'all have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful holiday, and I hope that 2021 will be the best year ever. I'm looking forward to getting out of 2020. I'm so over it. I'm sure everyone I know is as well. So now I'm just going to take my little tiny liner brush into a little bit of blue, and right above where the black was on the eye that represented the pupil, I'm going to just do a little line of blue across the top. And the reasoning for that is, you know, you have your pupil and then you have the rest of your eye around it that's got color, and so that's why I'm adding the little bit of blue right above the black, so it gives it more personality. You all don't have to do the amount of detail that I do, or you can do more. It's entirely up to you. I just like to do them this way. And I also make sure that I put like 3 little eyelashes when I'm hand drawing my eyes. I put 3 little eyelashes on either side, and to make it cuter. Alright, you can really see they're starting to come together. I think I'd seen a spot that I want to touch up a little bit more. Now, right below the eyes and right over the mouth, right below the nose, I should say, you're going to get your liner brush and load it with a good bit of white. And you're going to start at the center of below the nose, and you're going to come out and around in like a C motion either direction, and that is going to make your Santa Claus mustache. Then if you want to, you don't have to, but I like to do it, I like to go and add some eyebrows, because eyebrows do frame the face, and they make the emotion. I mean, you can have a regular old Santa without eyebrows, but eyebrows tend to add the emotion. So I'm just adding, and when I'm doing my mustache, when I say I'm putting a little load on below the middle of the nose, make sure you leave a little space on either side, right in the middle, so that either side of the mustache doesn't quite touch. That's just part of making the mustache look more realistic, even if they are on oyster shells with googly eyes. I don't have any adverseness to anything. Some people are like, oh, I hate googly eyes, and some are like, oh my god, I hate glitter. I don't hate anything. I love anything to do with it. So, crafting of any kind is fantastic. So now I'm going back and adding a few more details. Now, if you wanted to do this, what you're going to do is come into your Santa Claus, and right above the nose, you're going to make that upside down U with a pin with a fine needle. A fine, I don't know how do you say it, but a pen or a marker with a fine tip. So then you're going to do the upside down, and then you're going to do 2 little ovals right under the eyes, and then you're going to do lines going into his hair, and that's going to make a pair of glasses across the bridge of his nose. That's what we're going for. A pair of glasses across the bridge of the nose. So he looks like he's got his little reading glasses on. And I did a couple of those, and then a couple I didn't do. And like I said, do wait for that ink, that Sharpie pen has to dry. And sometimes it does take a while. So the next thing I've got is my extra fine iridescent glitter and snow text, which is another one of my favorites. The snow text is a textured white paint kind of, and it kind of reminds me of lightweight spackling paste. So if you can't find snow text, you can use that lightweight spackling paste and give the same thing. And this to me is fun because I use it for the pom-pom and the brim of the hat. I could probably use it on the whole face and everything, but I just prefer the pom-pom and the rim of the hat. And so what I do is add this texture because it makes it raised, and then I put my iridescent glitter into it to give it that bit of magic, because I like to have magic, and it just adds that something extra to your Santa Claus oyster. Now you may have seeds from a tree, you may have anything you can find in nature, a piece of bark or a piece of wood or something like that that might do well for you to make Santas of the same sort. They don't have to be oyster shells. It's just what I have, and it isn't costing me anything to do it, so that's why I do it. Oysters are filter feeders. They remove a lot of toxins from the water. That's why you always are cautious when you're going to be eating them. And they tell us at different times, you know, when we can eat them and when we can't. But they are filter feeders like a crab, and they will clean the water and clean everything around it. And like I said, these tend to wash up on the beach, and if they wash up on the beach, they're no longer alive, and they won't be used for anything. So there's no harm in picking them up. I can remember when we were growing up, oyster shells used to be used a whole lot for making roads and driveways and filling in holes and all kinds of stuff. They would bring truckloads of oyster shells. They don't really do that anymore because a lot of times the oyster companies will take the shells back to a reef right offshore here, and they will dump them at the reef, and so that the oysters that are living there can build onto that. And it is very helpful. It goes back into the ocean, and that's a good thing. So now you can see I am pretty much finished with my Santas. Just added the glitter. That's why I have the piece of paper down, because I recycle my glitter. And after I shake off all the glitter, the excess glitter, I fold the paper up and put it back in the bottle. You know, just pour it back in the bottle, because it doesn't take much glitter, and I like to reuse as much as I can. I can have one bottle of glitter for a very long time. And you can't see it on camera, but it does sparkle. I use extra fine iridescent glitter, and it's almost like a snow or sand sparkle. It's not real obvious that it's glitter. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you stay tuned for the pictures of the final product when we're completely done in just a second. And I also have a few other pictures you might enjoy watching. So you can see here, this is our snowman, and he's got his little snow cap on, and our snowman, Santa man. Anyways, you can see better how they look with glasses and all of that, and how cute they are. I just think they're adorable. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy this and many other videos of mine as well.